Where does the school board go from here? The most recent statewide report card comes out while Duval gets started in the search for a new superintendent. We're going to hear from a member of that school board. The state rep from Lake County stopping in Jacksonville. Our conversation as Matt Caldwell initiates the campaign for a cabinet position as Commissioner of Agriculture. First, the new president of City Council, Anna Brochet, on This Week in Jacksonville. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. Anna Brochet joining us, newly installed as City Council President in Jacksonville. So congratulations. And you're pioneering a little bit here, as we've talked about. So first Asian American elected to City Council, first female Filipino American City Council member in the entire state. So add to these distinctions, if you will, now City Council President. Tell me a little bit about the role and maybe explain it's more than just moderating or using a gavel for that whole year.
Sure. It's an opportunity to lead my colleagues. We're a body of 19 council members. And so to manage the process of how it is that we come together and take care of the business of the city legislatively, and to give them the tools that they make sure we have the tools to do the work that we have for the citizens, and then represent the council out in the community and everything that's happening. Lots of great stuff. Yeah, so when you're elected, you've got a few years to serve that you know about, and then maybe it's all politics, but it seems like then there's some, okay, let me get my feet wet, and then hey, folks, I'm interested in leading. Obviously, that has come together because your fellow council members vote on who's going to be the president. You earned their vote this time, and in favor of or ahead of who was the vice president. So that's a little unusual. Tell me why you think that happened. Why is it that your colleagues are behind you in what you represent or what your vision is? Well, you know, really it's about 2 years so far of leadership and how I conduct myself, how we work together, and really, you know, representing everybody out in the community. And so it's really about relationships of the 19, although we're certainly hindered at times in some of that relationship based on sunshine laws. But we have the opportunity to work together and to be with each other in committees and special committees doing the work. And so they put their trust in me to lead all of us. So tell me what that vision is. And I do want to kind of get at the component of it. You're entrusted to the leadership role for a year. Yes. Boy, that seems like a short amount of time to try and get something lasting done. So what's your vision? And then let's talk about how you accomplish that in that 365 days. It is a short period of time. It'll go by in a blink. And so we've got to move quickly because we're going to open the year by evaluating the mayor's presentation of his priorities through the budget. And so, and it's a pretty quick schedule. In terms of my vision, I'll be putting forth my desire for Jacksonville to be the best city in the world for a child to grow up in. And I know that's big, and we have a lot of work to do, but really about bringing together everyone and deciding what are those things that can help make sure that Jacksonville is the best city in the world for a child to grow up in. Particularly, I want to focus on making sure that we have safe and healthy neighborhoods throughout the entire community. Not all of our neighborhoods are safe and healthy, and what can we do there? And then we have an amazing park system with over 400 park and recreational sites, and there's an opportunity for us to leverage that amazing asset to be more a part of how we engage youth, how we develop our youth, and how we make sure that everyone has access, and then the parks are maintained, the parks are taken care of, and that we're proud of them. Are the parks underutilized, or? Well, you know, maybe so. There's a park score, there's the Public Trust for Land evaluates all the 100 largest cities and their park systems, and you know, we certainly suffer in that regard because we have so much land in our 840 plus square miles. There are some of the rankings that we have a challenge with. However, we still have an opportunity to look at where we are, what are the programs happening, and how is it that our parks are engaging our youth. Yeah. So a part of what I just heard you talk about in terms of your vision sounds like a successful business person here in town and a proud mom. Yes. Obviously, so you're doing that. You're raising your kids in Jacksonville. And I've heard the mayor talk about this as well. Mm-hmm. Someone else who is in city leadership saying, we want Jacksonville to be the great place, the place
to raise a family. So talk to me a little bit about that public safety concern. It's something that that he has talked about a lot, and I find it interesting. You have a similar, maybe a business background to the mayor as well on that accounting side. How does that professional expertise line up? Because obviously your office and the mayor's office are going to have to work together a bit.
Sure. Well, with respect to expertise, we certainly look at things by the numbers. We'll always have not enough resources to do everything that we would like to do, and so it's about prioritizing. Right. Oftentimes determining, is this a return on investment for the community? Are we investing now in our children to make sure that they are on the right path and that we're not spending more later for things to get them back on track versus keeping them on track from the beginning? And to your point and question, that public safety is a big part of that. You know, I was in a park every day of my childhood, and you know, there are some parts of the community where I suspect that parents would not feel comfortable with their kids being in the park, you know, on their own, as I did when I was young. And so we need to make some progress in moving the city toward that being the case. And is that the presence of authority figures in the parks and programming and checking out equipment and helping kids be active and interact with one another and socially and emotionally develop.
$1 million question, right? How do we make that change so that those places where people don't necessarily feel safe all the time do feel safe? And is it just a matter of we've got to add to the payroll for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office? It's got to be something more than that, right?
There's got to be the enforcement side of things, but the prevention side of things, which is what the mayor has been investing in terms of the Jacksonville Journey, and we've got the Children's Commission offering a number of programs as well. And so how is it that we engage kids in a positive and a healthy way to make sure that they stay on track?
Yeah. A positive and healthy thing to see you taking leadership and to see what the future holds here in this year for the city of Jacksonville. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, so coming up, Duval County School Board member Scott Shine. He's joining us in our next segment, so stay with us on This Week in Jacksonville.
It means a lot to us at Harrell & Harrell when clients take time out to thank us. We post 30 or 40 of the most recent letters thanking us for the representation and how comfortable we make them feel.
Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Join in on the fun and cash in on the deals at the Chevy 4th of July sales event.
This is a fast car.
Oh boy.
Enjoy the ride this summer on exciting Chevy vehicles. For a limited time, get 0% financing for 72 months on select 2017 models. Or get 20% below MSRP on 2017 Impala Premier and Sonic LT. Find new roads at the Chevy 4th of July sales event.
Whoa! Are those fireworks?
Announcing a sale so big, it couldn't be held on just one day. It's Tire Kingdom's 5 Days of the 4th event. Buy 2 tires, get 2 free when you purchase our value installation package. Plus, for 5 days only, use your store credit card and receive a $100 mail-in rebate on purchases of $500 or more. 500,000 tires on sale. Buy 2, get 2 free. Plus a $100 mail-in rebate. Only at Tire Kingdom.
That's all you need.
He was passionate about his barbecue sauce. People would coax and bribe, but even his wife didn't know what was in it. After 68 years of keeping it a secret, his final wish was to share his recipe. Now his spicy legacy will live on. Only a Dignity Memorial professional can celebrate a life like no other. Find out how at dignityjacksonville.com.
Who provides the best entertainment and internet experience? Best in-home Wi-Fi experience? Lets you stream on 5 devices at once? Brings you Netflix on X1 and 75 megabits per second in the most popular packages? No question. Xfinity stacks up where AT&T doesn't. Get all these great reliable features and fast internet for an incredible price. Get up to 75 megabits per second download speed. Compare that to AT&T. And get X1 and voice for $30 each for 1 year when you bundle all 3. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
This kitchen isn't real.
Like the labels some chicken brands use to mislead people.
Just smoke and mirrors to get him to pay more.
Labels like no added hormones or steroids.
It's funny because it's illegal to give chickens added hormones or steroids.
At Sanderson Farms, we raise good, honest chicken. Let's check the oven. Ooh, and is right.
Sanderson Farms. Good, honest chicken.
Who the I-Team caught spying on Tarek Minor, Melanie Lawson, Nikki Kimbleton, and why you could be next. Secret Search, Monday starting at 5:30 on News 4 Jax. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Thanks for staying with us on this holiday weekend, if you will. We're joined by Scott Shine, one of the board members for Duval County Public Schools. And as you noted, we had one of your colleagues on our show recently. We've been talking about the coming budget for the state. And I'm also interested in hearing a little bit about the search for a permanent replacement as superintendent. So if you don't mind, let's start there. Nikolai Vitti, he's off in Michigan somewhere. Dr. Patricia Willis is holding the post right now, but we know that we're looking for a permanent replacement for a superintendent. How do you keep things moving forward while you're kind of in that in-between area?
Well, Kent, first, thanks for inviting me here today. I think based on the grades that we've just received from the state, historically high, you don't change a winning playbook when you're doing this well. So I think we're going to continue to do a lot of the same things that we're doing. Dr. Pat Willis is an outstanding interim replacement. She was with the district for 35 years, and she's very well liked. And she also brings a sense of calm to the district. Anytime you lose a superintendent, folks start to get nervous. So I feel great about Pat's work in the past and what she's brought to the table. But she's also the kind of person that's, she takes charge, and she's done that, and she speaks truth to power. And so I'm very comfortable where we are today.
Now, what do you mean by that? Speaks truth to power. What does that mean?
She tells you not just what you want to hear, but what you need to know, and she won't agree with you simply to agree with you. So if you have the wrong perspective, she's going to set you straight, and I've seen her do that in the boardroom so far. And that's really what we need. We need someone who's not going to be political or simply trying to be popular, someone who tells us what's important and what we need to concentrate on, and has the courage to do that.
So let's talk about those grades that just came out. As we were talking before we started our interview here, maybe some people don't realize what goes into that. And you said historically high. So walk me through that, because it looked like a B grade the year before and a B grade now, or that sort of thing. Yeah. So maybe explain why this is historic.
Sure. Well, there's a lot that goes into that B grade. That's a somewhat oversimplified version of where we really are in terms of grades. We have a numerical grade behind that. And in the state of Florida, among the 7 largest cities, and that's kind of our peer group, we are tied for second place at this point. In fact, if you look at all the counties in the state of Florida, we're number 20th, and that's the top third. So we've done some things that we haven't done in the past. In fact, we're rated number 1 for test scores on Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, and biology. So in certain areas, we're the top school district in the state right now. And a lot of that has to do with the reform effort that has been put in place over the last 5 years. It is working. We know that, and that's one of the reasons we want to be careful about changing a winning playbook, because we're getting success, we're getting results, and I'm certainly happy about it.
So Dr. Vitti had his critics, even critics among the school board membership, but we're talking about some steps forward in terms of performance. Right. So what are the good things that happened under his leadership that you want to see continue?
Well, one of the things Dr. Vitti did that was really great is that he picked a great team. So we had a great executive cabinet, outstanding principals in terms of leadership. It's interesting, Dr. Vitti was a football player in college, and schools are a lot like a football team. You really need to pick, you need to draft the best talent that you can get, and you need to put them in the right job. Dr. Vitti was really good at that. I would say the principals in our district right now are lined up in places where they can do the most good, and the school matches their skill sets. That's one of the things Dr. Vitti did. His executive staff, his cabinet, exceptional in every way. So in terms of the people in our system today, Dr. Vitti was a big part of that. We've got some of the best people in Duval County Public Schools that you could want.
Let's talk a little bit about something that helps keep people there, and that's the money behind, or the programs behind, the facilities behind working in a specific place. Let's talk about the state budget. I know that just recently here, just a few weeks ago, our cameras were there when this group returned to the Duval County School Board building. The group made up of school board members, students, parents, local folks who were taking their message to the state capitol at that point. Their message was to try and get extra funding for schools, And they wanted the governor to know that they wanted him to veto the controversial measure that was known as House Bill 7069. Since then, the governor has said, I'll take it under advisement. And then after that, he said, here's my signature. So this is what's coming down the pike anyway. Where do things stand in your view with this new budget and some of these new measures, including what's called Schools of Hope and the measure that may put those underperforming schools in a spot where they're going to be replaced by charter schools?
Okay, well, there are good things about this bill, and there's also some challenges. Among the good things that happened is that although the governor did not veto 7069, they did add $100 per capita per student back into the state funding formula. Interestingly, we found out that that $100 for Duval County works out to about $50. So we didn't quite get what we wanted out of that. But Duval also has the opportunity to benefit from this bill because part of Schools of Hope, the charter schools that qualify for this funding are very limited. There's probably only 2 in the state who will qualify today, and one of them is KIPP, who operates here. So there could be a windfall for Jacksonville.
We already know about KIPP and what they're able to achieve, yeah.
So they could be bringing more money into Duval County to help public schools. One of the things that's a challenge, one of the things I did not support as part of this bill is that it's going to allow charters to share in our ad valorem taxes, in our capital funding revenue. And we have a capital crisis. And Kent, right now, we roll forward $150 million every year in unfunded maintenance. I just saw a report in 5 years, that number's going to balloon to $500 million.
Wow.
And we're in big trouble on our capital funding. Another thing is we have to look at our school occupancy right now. We have about 20,000 seats that are not filled. So we're going to have to look at consolidating schools. We will probably have to close schools and build new schools. And to fund that with the new bill that just came in, that takes money away from capital funding, that actually fuels the fire.
Well, listen, I know there's more we can talk about, but this is a good start. I want to keep in touch and find out how we're doing as we get into the second half of this year and maybe the first part of the next school year. Scott Shine, appreciate your time.
Thanks for the invitation.
All right. 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat officially candidates now for the Commissioner of Agriculture position. State Rep Matt Caldwell joins us next on This Week in Jacksonville. Stay with us.
This summer, enjoy a peach of a smoothie. Sip a sweet and delicious McCafe Peach Smoothie. A small McCafe Frappe, smoothie, or shake is just $2 at McDonald's. Make every moment a McCafe moment.
Hey, I thought you were choosing the flute.
Everyone's doing flute.
Buick now has an SUV for that.
Where's your brother?
Hey, Mom, it's a tuba.
Get 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,250 purchase allowance on all Envision Preferred and Enclave leather models when you finance through GM Financial. Hurry, offer ends July 10th.
Mom life is a wildlife. And some days the animals run the zoo. But it's worth it for the bear hugs. And when it comes to feeding time, you've got this. Lando Frost Premium Lunch Meat. Lots of protein, perfect for their lots of energy. When they love it, you'll find a moment of peace in the jungle. Lando Frost, what those wild ones want to eat. Oh, I'll take it. Okay.
Join in on the fun and cash in on the deals at the Chevy 4th of July sales event.
This is a fast car. Oh, boy.
Enjoy the ride this summer on exciting Chevy vehicles. For a limited time, get 0% financing for 72 months on select 2017 models. Or get 20% below MSRP on 2017 Impala Premier and Sonic LT. Find new roads at the Chevy 4th of July sales event.
Corporate bullies who choose profits over people often target America's most vulnerable workers. When they do, we all pay the price. If you've been denied a job, harassed, paid less, or even fired because of your health, sex, age, race, or religion, call us. Our team of employment lawyers fights to recover compensation for discriminated employees. You don't owe us a fee unless we're successful for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Mix and match classic taste on the McDonald's McBig 2 for $5 menu. A quarter pounder with cheese, filet of fish, legendary Big Mac, or 10-piece chicken McNuggets. Any two for just $5. Add on a Coke, any size soft drink is just $1.
Let me get a McBig 2.
We recently interviewed the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, Adam Putnam. He's, as you know, embarked on a campaign for governor. So who are the choices when it comes to replacing Putnam in the cabinet? One of those choices that you'll have here is with us this morning. This is State Representative Matt Caldwell, a Republican in Lehigh Acres, Florida District 79. That includes northern Lee County. Here's our local connection. Born in Gainesville.
Yes, sir.
A lot of folks are going to really like that. Really grew up in Fort Myers area. Tell me, Representative, about maybe why you've taken this next step and why you're running for this office.
The whole reason I ran for office in the first place, 2010, got elected to the State House, I wanted to work on water and natural resources issues. The Everglades is in my backyard. I've got a passion for it. It's what we've spent our time the last 7 years really working on. And when you look at the cabinet, you look at the 4 offices, the responsibility of worrying about urban areas, rural areas, how you balance the natural resource needs between those communities, that really is the Ag Commissioner's job.
Well, it seems like that is part of what you're doing as you're running here, kind of explaining to some folks what really goes into the position. And it's not, you've got a farming background, but it's not just, hey, I'm going to be the top farmer in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we've had family here in Florida nearly 200 years, Madison County down through Lake County. But when I talk to people and they say, hey, I'm not a farmer, so what does this have to do with me?
Right.
And I tell them it has a lot to do with you. And the easiest way to understand it is if you've ever seen that show Dirty Jobs on TV, Mike Rowe, Discovery Channel, pretty much everything he does on that show, the office oversees. If you wash your hands at the end of the day, it's the Ag Commissioner's job to oversee changing tires, changing oil, running the Ferris wheel at the fair every day.
Well, one of the things we saw is that you kicked off your campaign there in kind of the hometown, Fort Myers. Had lots of folks in there in attendance as you announced you're running. Since that campaign kickoff, I know you've been traveling across our state and you're talking with voters. And as some of your campaign folks have said, hey, trying to build the grassroots campaign and deliver your conservative message. So tell me what the conservative message would be when it comes to that specific cabinet position.
You know, this position is really going to focus on a couple of things. One is the jobs. We just talked about the responsibility, and it's pretty broad. Another thing that the office is responsible for is the concealed weapons permit program. So you've got 2 million Floridians that have signed up for that, and you've got to have an official in charge of this office that understands and respects what the Second Amendment is about. And then lastly, the natural resources side. We're going to grow from 20 million people today to nearly 30 million people within our lifetime. And it's going to take real solid hard work to make sure we balance the needs between our environment and what agriculture and the urban communities need.
So you recently announced a statewide 2-lane travels work days tour, and I want to hear more about that, but I was mentioning it kind of evokes memories of former Senator, former Governor Bob Graham, who really was well known for doing some of those things. His daughter, Congresswoman Gwen Graham, is running for governor, and she's doing some work days. Tell me why you decided to do that, and what's the value there in going to do some of those jobs?
Well, we kind of built off this theme I said on Twitter a couple of years ago as I drive back and forth from Fort Myers to Tallahassee. There's no good way to get there but to drive, so 6.5 hours both ways. I got tired of the interstate, so I'm driving down 2-lane roads, getting to enjoy rural Florida, and I would take pictures I thought were neat and put it up. Then now we've got this opportunity, and we talked about, you know, what's really the best way to understand all the things that the commissioner's responsible for. You know, the best CEOs are usually the ones that started out working in the warehouse or the mailroom. So we're going out and putting me to work, actually understanding these jobs that are overseen by the department. We spent last week, I was throwing shark carcasses on ice at a fish house.
Tell me more about this. So the first one, June 16th there, Key Largo Fisheries, right? Mm-hmm. What were you doing there?
Yeah, so we're
Did you get a job, by the way? Did you get a job offer?
The owner did say he would hire me, but he'd rather vote for me, which I took that as a compliment. We were working hard, spent a couple hours. It scraped up my arm pretty bad, actually, on one of the shark hides. They're like sandpapers. Be careful. But, you know, wide variety. We want to work with the timber crew one day, probably go work at a tire shop. You know, as long as people feel okay with having some guy come in and don't have to worry about the liability. But really just understanding what's good, what's bad. Every time I go to one of these visits, I ask, what do you like about the department? What don't you like? I need to know these as I look at possibly taking that job.
Yeah, and I'm sure those business owners, those managers of facilities are excited to tell you this is really what goes into the job that we're doing and why we think it's pretty important, why we're passionate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think our current governor made a great commitment. You know, the point of the regulators, it should be to help people figure out how to conduct their business, not be an obstacle to it. So whatever it is that we have a role as government in playing, we need to not be stopping businesses from being successful. We need to help facilitate them to be successful.
You know, one more topic I wanted to cover with you. Since formally announcing the bid for Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, I know that was really beginning of May. Just in that first reporting period was like 20 days, and you guys raised more than $100,000. I know the Friends of Matt Caldwell, the PAC supporting you, has raised almost $750,000 since January. So here's my question. Is it tough to start this early? And I say this early because we know it'll be about 18 months between now or when you started and when you get those votes coming in November next year. It seems like to do that, you would have to have a bigger war chest.
You have to work hard at it. I mean, you'll have millions of people that'll vote in just the primary next August, much less the general. It'll cost you more than $1 million to send one piece of mail. So you've got to work hard, you've got to raise the money in order to communicate that message. But you've also got to get on the road, and that's what we're doing. We're averaging more than 1,000 miles a week going around the state, traveling from Pensacola all the way to Key West.
It's a lot of travel, right?
Yes, sir.
Not all of that on two-lane travels at this point, right? Because you got to get to places.
But we're certainly going. When we went up to the little town of Jay, north of Pensacola, they were certainly excited to see us there.
Yeah, and there was no interstate.
There is no interstate at that point.
Hey, I appreciate it. I want to make sure all of you know Republican candidates for Agriculture Commissioner, State Representative Matt Caldwell is certainly one of them, the first one we get to introduce you to, but also Senator Denise Grimsley, Paul Paulson, Baxter Troutman, and the first Democrat to get in and announce formally is Michael Damian Christine. Thank you so much, State Representative. Appreciate getting to meet you, and when you come back through Jacksonville, let's talk again.
Will do. Thank you, Kent.
And thanks so much for joining us today. This Week in Jacksonville airs each Sunday morning at this time. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air on Channel 4 and online at newsforjax.com. You can go there and find previous episodes of This Week in Jacksonville as well.
Now, more than ever before, more people get their news from News 4 Jax, Jacksonville's #1 source for local news.